Ha, no way! Pussy Squeezer, dude.
What up?
I can name him Pussy Squeezer.
Do it!
I have.
Do it!
And he has a little sweet kitty cat face.
Hello everyone, my name is Auriga and this is my review video of the free-to-play game Tera. Although I have been playing this game, I didn't consider myself to be quite experienced enough to do a review video on my own. So I have one of my friends here, Dailato, help me out. He's a way more experienced Tera player than I. Tutorial and basics. Okay, first I just want to mention that I'm going to skip the story on this one. Usually I would have had a little section for the story, but this is just as basic as it can get for an MMO story. It's basically like there's bad guys, kill bad guys, kill 10 of that, collect some of that, go talk to that guy. Very basic stuff. But into the game, what you're seeing here is footage of the prologue section of the game, which is, it's an unnecessary chapter, I'd say. You just learn the basics, how to move around, where your health bar is, your mana bar, how to equip items, and your spell bar, and you know what basic items does. And it's very basic. You can learn this in the first chapter of the game, so I'd recommend for anyone to skip the prologue session. It is really basic, and you'll learn all the stuff on Noob Island, which is the first chapter of the game. So in conclusion, just skip the prologue part because the first 10 levels of the game is pretty much a tutorial. And here you see the controls for the game. Graphics and feel.
Should it be a berserker?
What? No. Make it an archer, it'll be funny.
Okay.
Because I mean, it like seriously, it looks like you're shooting jizz with those bows anyway. It's like you
These voices, man.
I will be playing with the PS3 controller or something, a cheap knockoff.
Squeeze that juice. Nigga.
Okay.
Dude, stand still.
What?
Hello everybody. My name is Titties Moist. And I've been waiting for years to conquer this planet. Today's the day. We shall rise, my brothers. Come. Dance with me. The almighty Pussy Squeezer. At your service.
Apparently so.
These graphics are...
The sounds I'm making while dancing are almost as disturbing as your dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so now that we've established what the premise of this game is, how about we do some talking about what we're actually seeing here?
Well,
because we're obviously on the beginner aisle.
I am.
I'm
playing this on max graphics, on my 580. Oh yeah, and it just looks. It's beautiful. It's smooth. I'm not really digging the trees though. Nothing special.
No, the trees kind of suck, and like 90% of that background you cannot actually get to. It's just a static background, like a skybox or something.
But hell, at least the trees are not, you know, like flat pieces of foliage.
Yeah, that is true. And I mean, look at the big pink tree in the middle. I mean, that's not even a tree.
I do have some texture issues over here, or that might just be the sun. I don't really.
Yeah, there's some texture bugging out over there,
Yeah.
but that's cool. But yeah, graphically it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Especially this, like if you look at this area over here, like just in this direction, that looks very nice. You know, just with the shadows and everything, it really sort of shows off the quality that they've put into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, graphically it is quite nice. I mean, obviously you're going to have to deal with your elf walking around in a bikini from level 1, but
Yeah, and the clothes just only gets even more exciting as you progress.
Yeah, especially for Castanics and, well, just females in general.
There's also the Ellen, the pedo class.
Yeah, oh god, the
Pedo
Ellen.
bear approved.
Yes, and lo and behold, you're playing Pedo Bear.
Yeah.
Yes, honestly,
Pedo
I swear to God, that is
rather.
like the people that made this game, they come from the internets.
Yeah, they
'Cause
do.
it used to be it used to be that Ellen and what was it, the Popori they're called? They, yeah, they used to be the actual the same. Oh, actually, if you press Ctrl Z twice, it goes into first person.
Oh yeah,
mode.
yeah, I realized just before.
Yeah.
Oh, let me
But,
just check out
yeah,
that
like
bot. Oh, that booty. Come over here, Cecilia. Come over here.
God damn it! Focus, man. Focus over here.
Okay, I'm coming back.
Considering how good looking it is, it does actually perform pretty well on like low-end systems like my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can pretty much play at maximum graphics as long as there are not too many people in the area. But yeah, that being said, it is still a pretty you know, intensive game for your computer. But it does look good if you do have a good computer. That is definitely true. But then again, that's something that most Korean or you know, Asian MMOs get down well. They get the graphics down well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But this is you know, for a free game, this is just beautiful.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that is actually something we should probably mention, like why we're doing this video. Because the Tera actually went free to play, I think, like last week or something along those lines.
Yeah,
maybe 2 weeks ago. So we figured we'd give it a shot. And
yeah, we already bought ourselves some users some time ago.
Yeah, we used to actually pay for this game at one point, together with the rest of our guild.
Yeah.
But that didn't work out because, well, I guess we'll come to that, because the game still got a lot of bad sides to it, despite looking really pretty, and as we'll show in a moment, I guess, it has really nice combat.
Combat.
Let me just go ahead and attack one of these guys.
Yeah, the Archer, which is probably not the best class to show that off with, but...
I'm jizzing all over it now.
Indeed. Oh, knocked him on his ass. Okay. That's a healing mode, I'll just take that. Let's go with this next.
Look at this guy over here. What up, cat? Hi, bro. Wanna touch?
What are you doing? Where did you run off to?
I'm just dancing with this guy over here. He wants to touch me.
You are so easily distracted, honestly. So anyway, since we're going to be talking about the combat for a bit,
You might as well see some.
yeah, you might as well see some. And
We have some ranged and some close combat. I am playing an archer right now, one of the classes in the game, and Dailato here is playing the Slayer. And right now we don't have any skills. We just started, so
yeah,
it's just
this is level 1 content, so we'll show you some higher level content later. But this is just to show you what your beginnings days will be like in the game.
Yeah.
And it's all right. You know, the combat feels pretty visceral. It's got good impact to it, especially if you're playing one of the melee classes.
Yeah.
Casters not so much. The mage and the sorcerer is called, and the healers, the mystic and priest, they don't feel that good. I mean, it's still better than most MMOs, mind you, but it's not as good as playing a Slayer or a Berserker, or even a warrior, or what's the tank called, a Lancer, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the melee classes in general feel much better than the ranged classes, in my opinion.
I just lost my map.
Yeah, I think you pressed N or M.
Yeah, N.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose the most important thing about the combat is that you do have, you know, to play to your class's strength. So I'm dodging through and around the mob as he attacks to avoid taking damage, and
sometimes
This asshole just keeps it range.
yeah, but you also see that I have to actually aim at the creatures to hit them. It's not just point and click.
Yeah, that is definitely true for all the range classes.
You know, in every other MMO RPG, you'll have to just right click on them, and that's about it. Then you just spam spells. But here you actually have just a tiny bit of skill involved.
Yeah, the closest thing to this is basically Guild Wars, where you can aim your abilities to hit things, even though you can still, you know, sticky targets. But in Guild Wars it's very similar because you've also got the ability to dodge, and just in general you can do a lot more if you're more skilled. And it's the same thing in this game. It is very class dependent. Some classes are a lot less skill based than others. For example, the Warrior and Slayer, who have a lot of dodging and moving around mobility skills, have they've got a bit of a higher skill cap. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily harder to, you know, own within PvP. More like the other way around, because they have so much mobility. But I would say that they do have a higher skill cap in total. You can do more crazy things with them than with other classes.
I myself have also played both the Warrior and the Slayer, and I have to admit that from the classes I've played, they are the most interesting. I have also played as a Sorcerer. This is my first time playing as an Archer. But basically the range classes are not really that interesting compared to the close combat classes, at least in my opinion.
Many
people might differ.
I know. I agree on the on that, though. It has to be said that the less interesting classes aren't necessarily less capable. They just take less skill to be as capable as the other classes.
Where are you at, dude? Oh, you're over there.
I'm learning my new skills. I'm trying to remember what button I press to get to the skill page to put them on my bar. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, I want to learn new spells too.
Yeah, that's there is one thing that I have to say about using the controller. You're still going to have to use your mouse and keyboard to like invite people to party and to put new skills on your bar and all kinds of things. It's not going to be allowing you to play with nothing but the controller. That's just not going to happen.
Oh, dude, I need some help over here.
It's a Tera in cheap. Let me hit him. Get over here. Nah.
Okay.
So yeah.
I just learned my spell as well.
Yeah, this game's forte really is combat.
UI and menu.
As you can see though from the questing system, hopefully you've been able to see enough of it so far to sort of figure this out on your own. It's really the same as every other.
It's pretty much read quest, accept quest. You can also press Alt and then you can remove quests that you do not want to do.
Yeah.
For instance, this Kish Dale thingy, I don't want to do that, so I just remove it. It's very simple.
Yeah, it really is.
The UI in this game is just pretty good.
Yeah, you shouldn't expect the way questing works to make the game more interesting in any respect. It's really rather dull. At least if you're used to playing MMOs. Maybe you've never played an MMO other than EverQuest, and you'll be like, oh my god, this questing system is amazing. I would very much condole you on your loss, but you know, go play Guild Wars. It's a lot better if you like the questing system for that.
This is a pretty sweet attack.
And this is something new, actually. I just looted that locked strongbox. I don't know if you saw that. It's probably in your chat log.
I don't see any more, but I can just press Alt and then I can navigate anything. So I can scroll up here.
That is indeed true.
You picked up a locked strongbox, yeah?
Yeah, that is a new thing with the free-to-play thing. It's basically the same as the mystic chest that you will find in Guild Wars, where you need to buy a item from the cash money store to actually be able to open that box. So essentially, if you're never going to buy those keys, then you might as well not pick them up because it's a waste of money, time, and inventory space, more importantly.
Well, let's just talk to this guy and get on our way and continue with the main quest.
Right.
The main quest is the red quest, and you don't always have to take these yellow quests to grind.
There we go. No, well, the thing about the game is you can really just do nothing but grind if that's what you want. It's actually one of the most effective ways to level. It's still probably faster if you grind quests rather than just straight up grinding, but if you can get a good group and kill BAMs, which we'll show some of later.
Badass mobs.
Well, big ass mobs.
Badass.
But, yeah. And I'm sure they're quite badass as well, actually, yes. But yeah, if you can get a group together and kill those, or even better, solo them, you can get fuck tons of experience. Because killing a single BAM is basically equivalent to completing 2 quests, maybe even 3, depending on what level and zone you're in. But yeah, that's it can be worthwhile. But mind you, if you're doing it by yourself, the amount of damage you're doing is going to be very limited because of the amount you're going to be dodging and blocking. So it takes very long. That's the only reason why it's more efficient to do quests, because just how long it takes to kill those guys by yourself. But yeah, you've got some options there. So as far as leveling is concerned, the questing system's boring, but you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of time questing.
So
also something we haven't shown yet is you get some XP from gathering as well.
And here you see me doing some mining. You can actually share these ores, so you get more.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, the more people mine it at the same time, the more you get from it. So having a full party and mining it will get you more resources than otherwise. But the thing is, resources are pretty much worth crap in this game, and that's because crafting is absolutely useless.
Totally. But yeah, you can do all kinds of customization as to where everything is placed. You see the map, I'm moving it around. So
yeah, the UI is very easily changeable.
Yeah. Audio and music.
But yeah, the thing is, the audio, a lot of times it's very good, but there's no variety in it. They've got about 5 different tracks or something, which are individually very good, but when they get reused for the different zones and they don't really fit for any of them, it really hurts the ambience. Like that's like the beginner zone is actually one of the best zones in that regard, where
the music pretty much fits the looks.
And the looks of the beginner zone actually sort of they feel kind of okay. It like, you know, it's got a good ambience, it's got a good vibe to it, and that's something that you will really miss in later zones.
I have a moment for you.
We'll
speak again.
It's a bit of a strange comparison perhaps, but for those of you that played World of Warcraft back in the day of you know, just without any expansions, you had zones like Duskwood which had really good ambience to them. And you won't find anything like that in this game. Like, you'll always be thinking, like, if this is supposed to be a forest, where are the trees? There's like 3 giant trees and that's it. And if this is supposed to be creepy, then, well, it's just not creepy. You know, it's that's one of the game's major downsides, is even though it has story and it has good graphics, that general ambience and feel of the game, it's a bit disappointing.
I agree.
Actually, on the audio, I will say one thing about the sound effects for the melee classes actually are really good. They do very much add to the feel of impact of the combat. So, yeah, I just have to say, in general, this game has put very much effort into getting the combat right. Of course, the combat is absolutely lovely. There's no doubt about it. This is the best combat in any MMO I've ever played. It's even better than Guild Wars, and Guild Wars is still by far the second best, in my opinion, at least. So the verdict on the combat in that respect, it's wonderful. You know, the sound is great, the feel is great, it flows well. You can do lots of fancy combos, and it gets even better at high level.
Very good, and it's not like you're just standing there and doing the same thing over and over again. It has a little bit more variation to it.
PvP.
Basically, the general idea is, rather than being based on, I suppose, rather than being based on just who does the most damage, it's not using taskbars. it's rather using animation times. So basically, if you have a hard-hitting ability, it's usually going to have a long animation time, but you can't cancel out of it. You're going to do the ability almost regardless of what else happens, unless you use a dodge or block to cancel it. But then some abilities you can't even do that with. So I suppose that's kind of really the thing with the balance between melee and ranged classes is, you know, if a melee class is up in your face and hitting his abilities, he's going to, you know, you can dodge away and he's still going to be stuck doing his ability even if you're not there anymore. But yeah, having spoken about the balance between ranged and melee classes in that regard, there's really a bit of an imbalance for a lot of classes. Like, it sort of evens out at high level, where you at least have a slight chance against the more powerful classes as just about any other class, but there are some glaring imbalances there, at least where 1v1 is concerned, but also in group play. The formats for PvP are really just twofold. You've got open world PvP, where people just gank each other, which is, well, you know, if you're into that, then that's your choice. Personally, I think you're a complete douchebag if you go around killing people 40 levels below you, because they don't even stand a remote chance, but, you know, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you've got the battlegrounds and arenas, which is actual PvP. So the basic premise is that you go into these battlegrounds or arenas, there's some kind of goal, and the arenas is just, you know, kill the enemy team, and in the battlegrounds I think it's always just either capture the flag or hold the position. I'm not entirely sure, I haven't done much here. And the problem there, since we're discussing PvP and class balance at the same time, basically, because in PvE the class balance is fine. Every class can pretty much do what they're made for. The warriors and lancers can tank just fine. The mystic and priest can both heal. I mean, the difference in DPS between the damage classes isn't huge. I mean, it's there.
Well, I personally noticed that the warrior, I think, deals quite a lot of damage per second.
Yeah, like I said, it varies a bit from level to level, depending on what abilities they have. In that regard, like, because warriors, really, they can tank or DPS, and they're pretty decent as both, but warrior DPS isn't the highest in the game, as far as I'm aware. It's, no, it's okay if you spec completely for it, then you're like, you know, decent, but it's not going to compare to a berserker or an archer.
Oh.
And slayers and sorcerers are still above warriors, as far as I know. But I think the main thing with warriors being good as DPS is that they're very survivable, even when they're spec'd for DPS, because they can dodge and become immune a lot. So they have more uptime on sort of fighting the boss, as opposed to trying to dodge the boss or block him. I think that's not the main thing.
Yeah, that might be.
Also, one thing that annoys me to no end. You hit multiple mobs with your attacks, and your attacks just do less damage to the point where there's no real reason to hit more than 2 or 3 mobs at once. Like, it's absolutely annoying. It's just infuriating when you try to grab a really big bunch of mobs and sort of hit them all at once, so you can... You know, it's a bit harder, but you're like, I want this challenge, and I'll level up faster and stuff. And then it's like, nope, you're going to do like 1/10 of your damage because you're hitting 10 mobs. Like,
Controller.
So I think you should probably have noticed by now, even though I'm playing on a controller, actually aiming against PvE mobs, it's not that big of a deal. I would say that it is completely viable to do any of the endgame dungeons with a controller, assuming that you're used to a controller. I'm not actually used to a controller, but I'm still doing okay. So I don't actually have a console. I only really use controllers for a couple of PC games, so I'm not actually that good with it. But I think if you're good with it, you can compete in any PvE kind of content. I don't know if it's the same for PvP. I would assume you could be competitive with it, but I'd still think it would be suboptimal. Just because you can't turn around your facing as quickly with this.
So it's not really recommendable.
Well, if you prefer it that way and you're not planning on doing PvP, then sure. If you're planning on doing PvP, get used to mouse and keyboard. You know, it's just going to be better. There's nothing you can really do about it. It's more accurate. You can turn around faster. It's not something you want. It's not the kind of disadvantage you would want for your PvP.
Endgame.
So really the only thing I still have to talk about before we go and show you some higher level content is the endgame. Now, I'm not going to be able to show you the actual endgame because I'm the only one with a high level character and I can't actually record things and don't actually even know if there's going to be a lot of people there. So we've both got mid-level characters though, and we can show you at least a BAM fight. I can say a few things about the endgame though. It's entirely dungeon based. There are some world bosses, and you can grind BAMs for good gear and just money. But essentially everything worthwhile, just like in most MMOs, is going to be dungeon based. There is also a outdoor sort of raid zone. I'm not entirely sure what it's called anymore because I left the game before that really got implemented. Which is essentially from what I've heard, it's a giant lag fest with hundreds of players running around trying to complete the event. But that does also have good gear, so I guess, you know, that is part of the end game. Not sure how much it's worth, you know, to do that over doing dungeons, because I just don't know. But it is there. It's probably worth checking out at some point.
So first we have graphics, which I found to be, you know, it was very pleasing, the most pleasing I've ever seen in any free-to-play game, and the performance was just good. I think, well, that is if you have a good computer, as a computer as good as mine at least. The audio, the music, and the fact that they used the same scores for different areas is a big no-no and a huge minus, I'd say. Do you have anything to the combat, anything about the combat sounds maybe or something?
What? Yeah. No, I would say that the graphics is definitely the game's strongest point.
Yeah?
Yeah, that the graphics and the combat are the game's strongest points.
Yeah, tell me something about the combat then.
Well,
what do you think about it?
Well, what I think about the combat is, in general, it's very, it feels very good. It has a lot of variety in it. It also has enough variety from class to class to you know, to have the benefit that maybe if you don't like one class, you might like a different class. Because even the two melee DPS classes, the Slayer and the Berserker, feel very different when you're actually playing them. And overall, there's enough different game mechanics between classes as well to make it less stale if you wanted to try something a bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say though that the fact that they still do have dedicated healing and tanking classes makes it much harder for them to make all the classes equally, I suppose, fun during leveling.
But if you're just playing it casually, like, well, I guess most people would with an RPG,
I don't think this is the kind of game you really can play entirely casually.
no?
Just because of you actually do have to not time investment wise, but you can't really sort of half AFK while you play the game, if you know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you can actually with most MMOs where you're just pressing a few buttons.
Okay, but to the UI and the different systems such as quest systems and crafting, well, I find them to be pretty easily navigatable.
Yeah, in that respect, I would say that this is a very good MMO for people who are new to MMOs, with the exception being that it's a Korean MMO.
So it's a little different than something you might
Yeah,
have
like,
seen.
yeah, like, I suppose if you're new to MMOs and you really like Asian sort of culture, or well, culture. You know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. This is otaku shit. So.
Yeah, it is very much, in fact, otaku shit. And if you are more hardcore for MMOs,
This is not the thing. It's just.
it could be. It could be if you really enjoy combat, and that's really all you're playing the MMO for. If you play MMOs because of a combination of things or anything else than the combat, really, I wouldn't go for it because
I agree.
the questing's boring, the crafting's boring, the end game is very, you know, it's very enough with bosses and stuff, but it's still very same-ish. You're just, you know, grinding dungeons for gear. The graphics are nice. The sound effects for combat are nice. Just because it's part of the combat, everything about the combat is absolutely great. But the rest of the audios, like the music, is very repetitive. The ambience of all the zones is really, well, dull, quite frankly. And, well, the class balance during leveling, at least, is not very good. At endgame, it's okay. You know, if you wanted to play this game for the PvP, you definitely could. If you want, but then again, that would just be, you know, doing pretty much, I think, only 2 battlegrounds over and over, or 1 arena.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to go around and gank people, which has no reward and pisses people the fuck off.
To get some final verdict on this game.
Well, yeah.
I'd say that it's a game for new MMOers and not veterans. That's how I would sum it up, at least. What about you?
I would definitely agree with that, for the most part.
Of course.
Though I would say even for new MMOers, it would be a very niche crowd that would actually enjoy this game to the point that they
adopt it to their lifestyle or whatever.
that they would want to play it as their main game.
For a free game, I think that it's something you as an MMO player just cannot miss. At least you have to play the first few levels. I think it's worth that.
Yeah, now that it's free to play, I will say, now that it's free to play, I would recommend everyone to just give it a shot just for the combat, because it does. The combat does feel good. That's just the way it is, and you might find it feels good enough to actually want to play through the boring quests.
If I could get my 50 euros back for this game, I definitely would, because it adds almost nothing. Like, you can have 6 characters more than the free. But yeah, we've been milked, and they're done with us. So now they're dumping us, like the ex-girlfriends. So,
yeah.
But I think that was about it. Do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, really. All I have to say is try it out now that it's free, but don't expect to get anything new or innovating out of it besides the combat.
That about rounds it up.
Big ass monster.
We have been Auriga and Dailato, and better click all those buttons. Have fun, and yeah. Yep.
Well, I think we're about done here.
I got some footage of that.
Cool.